One of the toxicities of trastuzumab deruxtecan that were seen in both the phase 1 and DESTINY-Breast01 trials was interstitial lung disease or pneumonitis. This was identified as an important toxicity and can be severe. Because of that, it's been looked at what are the predictors of ILD in patients with HER2-positive advanced breast cancer. A couple characteristics stood out in an analysis. One was the dose. So higher doses of trastuzumab deruxtecan, higher than the now recommended phase 2 dose of 5.4 milligrams per kilogram, higher doses than that were associated with higher rates of trastuzumab deruxtecan, which is one of the main reasons why the dose of 5.4 was selected to move forward. Patients from Japan seem to have a higher rate of pneumonitis or ILD, and that's actually been seen with a number of other drugs as well, so I don't think that that was that unexpected. There did also seem to be a strong trend for those patients who were heavily pretreated with 10 or more prior lines of therapy having higher rates of ILD. So while these risk factors are certainly helpful, I think it is important to recognize that even patients who don't have these risk factors still have the possibility of developing ILD or pneumonitis, and it's important, therefore, to be cognizant of that, which experts in ILD have recommended that patients be followed closely for the symptoms of ILD, which include fatigue, which include dyspnea, cough, and fever, and that if they have those symptoms, that ILD be suspected and further evaluation be done, which includes high-resolution CT scans, consultation with the pulmonary specialist, and that the trastuzumab deruxtecan be stopped and corticosteroids be started promptly.
I think that the ILD issue is something that we have to pay close attention to. As discussed, there are a lot of parameters now in place to help us effectively manage, catch this early, and not allow it to progress to grade 3, 4, or 5 toxicity. This may have been a showstopper for an ordinary drug that demonstrated an objective response rate of 15 to 20% in phase 1 or single-arm phase 2 study. But in this population of patients who are heavily pretreated, a huge area of unmet need, aggressive HER2-positive metastatic breast cancer, many of whom have visceral disease, some of whom had CNS metastases, to see a response rate of over 60%, to see a progression-free survival well over a year, close to a year and a half, is truly extraordinary. And I think this is going to lead many of us to feel comfortable with it becoming available, hopefully, to our patients soon as standard of care, as long as the phase 3 clinical trials are run and conducted and help us better define how to detect and manage the development of ILD in some patients.
Whenever we make decisions regarding treatment of patients, we have to weigh the risks and benefits. In patients who have metastatic HER2-positive breast cancer, it's important to note, especially those that have cancers that has progressed on standard therapy, such as trastuzumab, pertuzumab, and T-DM1, that this is an incurable disease. And the current standard options have relatively limited efficacy. The data from the DESTINY-Breast01 study would suggest that the efficacy of trastuzumab deruxtecan is substantially better than the current options for such patients. While trastuzumab deruxtecan does have several potential toxicities, which include generally manageable hematologic and GI toxicity, but also this important risk of pneumonitis or ILD, compared to the very encouraging efficacy profile. I think, to me, it's very clear that the benefits outweigh the risks for this patient population.